Welcome to another story made by Oracle One. The piercing crackle of the radio sliced through the hushed tension in the cramped cabin of the helicopter. Sergeant Mia Carson's eyes flicked from the compass to the instrument panel, then to the mountainous panorama unfolding beneath them, a grim expanse of jagged peaks and restless clouds. The Signal Ranger 5, the mountain search and rescue helicopter, wove through the alpine air like a prowling hawk, scanning the wilderness for signs of life, for the lost, or now, something altogether stranger. "Beacons active," chirped radio operator Ben Jacobs, his voice taut with disbelief as he adjusted the frequency filter. "But here's the kicker, Mia. The signal's coming from a distress beacon last registered in 1997. Mia blinked, disbelieving. 1997? That's nearly 25 years ago. Are you sure the frequency is right? Ben double-checked, his fingers flying over the decoder console. Positive. The coordinates match a spot high on the southwestern face of Mount Alaric. The odd thing is, the beacon's transmitter shouldn't even be active anymore. Last time anyone heard from that unit was during the 97 winter expedition. The helicopter hummed steadily as the crew processed the surreal revelation. Little about the mountainous range had changed except the snow's depth and the sky's temper. What mysteries awaited at the coordinates of a beacon lost in time? Mia spoke into the radio, her voice firm yet intrigued. "Command, this is Ranger 5. We have a live distress beacon confirmed on Channel 58. Originating from a unit last logged 24 years ago. Requesting authorization to undertake immediate reconnaissance and extraction, over." Static crackled back, then voice steady and clear came the response. "Ranger 5, authorized. Approach with extreme caution. The 97 expedition ended tragically. All personnel declared missing. Proceed with care. Command out." The members of the Montana Mountain Search and Rescue Team were painfully familiar with the notorious incident. The 1997 Alaric tragedy had earned infamy. The entire team of 5 vanished without trace amid one of the worst blizzards recorded in decades. Bodies were never found. They had been declared dead, lost to the merciless claws of the mountain. Rumors had swirled about avalanches, sudden crevasse falls, and worse. Some whispered about strange noises and shadows that year in late winter when the expedition was supposed to return. Now, 2.5 decades later, the mountains whispered again. Mia folded her gloved hands in her lap as the helicopter neared the beacon's coordinates. 38.7043 north, 112.9357 west. A sheer cliff face riddled with ice and loose scree, bathed unevenly under a weary sun struggling through gray cloud. Jagged peaks loomed in the distance, their snowdrifts untouched, pristine and deceptive in their silence. "All right, team," Mia said, voice low but commanding. "Plan is to hover here. Drop a drone to scope the site for any signs of life, structures, or movement. We do not want to risk the chopper too close in these conditions. Ben, you've got the control." The drone, a nimble quadcopter equipped with infrared and high-resolution optical cameras, lurched from its cage, ascending into the swirling chill. Minutes crawled by, tension thick as the cold mountain air. Then the drone's video feed crackled onto the monitors. There, nestled inside a narrow crevice carved into the cliffside, was a small, makeshift shelter. Its materials looked patchwork. Metal, fabric torn and frayed, wood picked and reused. Snow partially covered its roof, but a faint glimmer of metallic paint showed through. "Is that a hut?" whispered Grant Mallory, the team's veteran tracking specialist. His eyes narrowed on the screen. "Looks like someone's been here, even recently." "It's impossible," Mia murmured, her gaze fixed on the screen. "Who survives here after all this time?" Ben's voice came from the radio. "No thermal signature detected yet. The shelter seems to be empty." Empty, or temporarily abandoned, Mia mused, already switching the radios to coordinate the next steps. We're landing 10 clicks below the site at the base camp for the climb. From there, 2 members will ascend and inspect the shelter and signal source on foot. The weather window's tight. Expect wind to increase in the next hour. The helicopter banked in slow arc, descending toward a desolate alpine plateau dotted with hardy evergreens and jagged stones dusted with snow. The team stepped out into the biting cold, their breaths steaming in the crisp air. Mia and Grant geared up for the arduous climb, each stepping into crampons with practiced ease, securing ice axes on their belts. The path was treacherous and unmarked, but Grant's compass and years of mountaineering guided their ascent steadily upward. Pine needles and snow crunched beneath their boots as they approached the cliff, the shelter coming into stark, harrowing view. Closer inspection revealed crude carvings etched into the wood. Numbers, dates, and cryptic markings that looked like warnings or diary entries. A faded inscription read simply, "Not alone." The phrase sent a shiver gnawing down Mia's spine. She touched the cracked wooden frame cautiously, fingers following the rough grain. The shelter's door creaked faintly when pushed. Inside, a sparse interior, a rusted cot frame, a folded blanket yellowed with age, a cracked enamel mug with remnants of dried liquid. Mia's gaze caught a crumpled bundle of papers pinned under a rock. She pulled them free. A journal, leather-bound but brittle, the cover worn to ghostly remnants of its original hue. The pages inside, handwritten entries in spidery text, chronicled the final days of the 1997 expedition. The journal belonged to Dr. Stephen Halbrook, the expedition's lead scientist, a man driven by obsession with an ancient mining site rumored to be hidden somewhere on the mountain. His last few entries spoke of strange noises at night, flickering lights in the sky, and chilling encounters with shadowy figures moving just beyond the edge of campfire light. One passage caught Mia's attention. "They come with the storm. I see them now, the watchers. Not men, not beast. Something out here that watches us, waits. If we try to leave, they will find us. Keep the beacon alive. The signal is the only proof we exist." Suddenly, there was a low rumble from above. The mountain groaned in the shape-shifting wind. Heavy clouds thickened, blustering snow beginning to whip violently in the high-altitude air. Mia closed the journal, urgency clawing at her chest. "Time to move," she called to Grant. As they prepared to descend, a distant flicker of light caught Mia's eye. A brief glint like a flare, then darkness swallowed it again. Her heart quickened. The mountain was alive with mysteries still unsolved. Back at the plateau, the team watched the beacon signal flicker erratically, as if reacting to something unseen. Then the radio unexpectedly spun into chaos, static and burst transmissions amid a frantic voice, distorted beyond comprehension but chilling still. Mia grabbed the microphone. "This is Ranger 5. Who's out there? Repeat your location." For a moment, only the howling wind answered, then, faintly, "Help, trapped." A garbled voice, thin, desperate, yet unmistakably human. "Coordinates?" Mia demanded, voice firm but steady. Silence, then a weak reply. "Ice cave, west face." The message faded, replaced by white noise. Mia's mind raced. Ice cave? Could that be near the original mining tunnels Halbrook had obsessed over? Somehow, someone was signaling from the depths of the mountain, and not alone as the journal had warned, but alive. They had to find them. A sudden avalanche boomed from the heights, snow cascading in a frothy surge, snapping the team back into motion. "We move now," Mia ordered. Racing against time and the mountain's fury, the search and rescue team plunged inward, the weather worsening with each step. Using the beacon's signal and voice coordinates, They navigated to a hidden crevasse entrance partially obscured by ice and false rock formations. Inside the cave, the temperature dropped dangerously. Their headlamps pierced the darkness, revealing damp walls glistening with frozen crystals. Farther inside, faint echoes carried on cold air, muffled voices and the hollow sound of shuffling movement. Grant's voice barely above a whisper, human. Definitely human. They neared an icy choke point when a sudden clatter echoed. A figure emerged from shadow, gaunt and coated with frost, eyes wide with terror and disbelief. It was a woman, ragged, fragile like a ghost, her clothes threadbare but her spirit resilient. "My name," she gasped, voice cracking. "Emily Mathis. I escaped in '97. Trapped here, hidden from them." Mia's senses sharpened. Them? Who is them? Emily's eyes darted around. The shadows seemed to close in. The Watchers, the Shadow People. They hunt anyone who tries to leave. The beacon. I kept it alive all these years, hoping someone would find me. The team's disbelief warred with the chilling truth in her trembling voice. They had found a survivor of the 1997 tragedy. Someone who had lived through decades in isolation, haunted by something inexplicable and fearsome. The search and rescue crew secured Emily and set course back through the ice tunnels and up the mountain. But as they climbed, a low murmur, a rustling murmur of movement echoed behind them, footsteps that weren't theirs, shapes indistinct but stalking. Reaching the helicopter, they barely loaded Emily before the snowstorm turned brutal. The mountain was breathing a restless warning. Back at base, as medical staff rushed Emily inside, Mia stared into the gathering storm over Mount Alaric. The mystery was only beginning to unwind, shadows cast long and menacing. On the final page of Halbrook's journal, a cryptic entry lay folded inside the book. Seen only now by Mia, the mountain remembers. It watches us all. To silence the Watchers, we must never lose the signal, or the mountain loses its soul. Beneath the veneer of ice and stone, ancient powers slumbered still, and some cries from the past refused to fade away into silence. For more stories, like and subscribe.